A young woman in Lagos sends money to her grandmother in a remote village using just her phone. No banks, no paperwork, no waiting weeks, just tap, send, and done. What she doesn't know, she just became part of a financial revolution that's creating billionaires faster than Silicon Valley ever did. And you know what, go-getters? This revolution is happening right under the noses of Wall Street giants who are scrambling to catch up. But there's something darker brewing beneath this success story that nobody wants to talk about. So today, I'll be pulling back the curtain on Africa's fintech explosion. A $3 billion unicorn factory that's rewriting the rules of global finance. You know that feeling when you discover something incredible that everyone else missed? That's exactly what's happening right now across Africa. While the world was busy looking elsewhere, an entire continent figured out how to leapfrog traditional banking and create financial systems that work for real people. If you don't know, right now we are actually witnessing the birth of financial independence for 1.4 billion people. And the truth is, there are some powerful forces that want this revolution to fail. So if you stick around to the end, you are definitely going to get hold of it. So before we proceed, let me hit you with some numbers that sound too crazy to be true. In 2023 alone, African fintech companies raised over $3 billion in funding. That's more than the entire GDP of some countries. Now the thing is, these aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. Each dollar represents thousands of people getting their first bank account, their first loan, or their first chance at financial freedom. Take Flutterwave, for instance, that started in Nigeria. It now processes payments in 34 African countries and beyond. Their valuation over $3 billion. That makes them what we call a unicorn, a startup worth more than $1 million. But Flutterwave isn't alone. We've got InterSwitch, another Nigerian giant, JumiaPay spanning across multiple countries, OPay revolutionizing mobile money. Now I want you to reflect on this. What happens when an entire continent skips traditional banking system and jumps straight to mobile money? Remember our Akan proverb that says, when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion? That's exactly what's happening across Africa right now. So let me tell you about Tayo. 5 years ago, he was a taxi driver in Accra, Ghana. And like millions of Africans, he had no bank account. And if you're wondering why, simply because the nearest bank was about 50 kilometers away. In addition to that, it required documents he didn't have and required a minimum amount he couldn't afford. So while traditional banks would look at Tayo and see risk, lots of risk, African fintech companies would look at Tayo and see opportunity. And that goes to what I always tell you on the channel, that the easiest way to make money and real money is to identify a problem and solve. Now, you would see that with the coming of fintech, Tayo now runs up to 3 businesses. To begin with, he accepts mobile payments from his taxi clients. He saves money digitally, and he even gives small loans to other drivers, all from his phone. Now multiply people like Tayo by millions and you will start to understand what's happening in Africa right now. Now here's what most people don't realize. This wasn't by accident. Africa didn't just stumble into fintech leadership. The continent was actually pushed there by decades of banking exclusion. Think about it. When you are told no so many times by different financial traditional institutions, what do? You create your own solution. So in a bit, I am going to be showing you the 3 main innovations that made this possible. What if I told you that Africa's fintech success rests on 3 simple innovations that are now being copied worldwide? While Americans were still writing checks, Kenyans were already sending money through SMS. M-Pesa launched in 2007 and didn't just create mobile payments. It created a new financial ecosystem. Today, Kenya processes more mobile money transactions per capita than any other country in the world. Here in Cameroon, we've got MTN mobile money that's doing great as well. Now, the second is agent banking. Remember Tayo's story. He couldn't reach a bank branch, right? But fintech companies brought banking to him. Motorcycle taxi riders became loan officers, and suddenly every corner store became a financial service hub. Now the third is data-driven credit scoring. This one is revolutionary. Instead of looking at your credit history, which most Africans don't have, these companies analyze your phone usage, your location patterns, even your social connections to determine if you are credit worthy. A farmer in Rwanda could get credit based on his mobile money transactions and his weather data. A student in Nigeria gets credit based on her airtime purchase patterns. Now here's where the story actually takes an unexpected turn. You need to understand that the real revolution isn't about technology, but it's about trust. And that's actually creating problems that nobody saw coming. Now let me quickly share something that might make you uncomfortable. This fintech explosion has actually created a new form of financial colonization. And I'm not talking about foreign companies. I'm talking about African companies that have become so powerful that they are creating a new form of dependency. So here's what I mean. When one company controls how millions of people send money, receive wages, and access credit, what happens when that company makes a mistake? Or worse, when it prioritizes profit over people. In 2022, several African fintech platforms experienced outages that left millions unable to access their money for days. Imagine not being able to buy food because maybe an app crashed. Now, there is also the data question. These companies know more about African spending habits than anyone in history. They know your location, your contacts, and even your daily routines. That data, aggregators, is incredibly valuable, and increasingly it's been sold to the highest bidder. But here's the contrarian viewpoint that nobody really wants to hear. Maybe this concentration of power is necessary. Maybe Africa needs digital champions strong enough to compete globally. The question is, can African fintech maintain its people-first approach while playing in the big league? In a bit, I'll reveal to you what this means for the future and why the next 5 years will determine whether this new revolution liberates Africa or creates new chains. Here's something that should keep global financial institutions awake at night. Africa isn't just building fintech companies, it's building a parallel financial system that could actually change the dominance of Western banks and payment processors. Think about remittances. African diaspora sends about $95 billion every year back home. Traditionally, that money flew through Western Union, MoneyGram, and international banks, which each take hefty fees. Now, Flutterwave, Cheaper Cash, and other African fintechs are capturing these markets. And you know what? They are doing that with lower fees and faster transfers. That's billions of dollars in revenue shifting from New York and London to Lagos and Nairobi. But you know what, go-getters? The implications even go deeper. When African countries start trading with each other using African payment systems, bypassing SWIFT and other Western infrastructure, what happens to global financial control? China understood this early. That's why Chinese investors were among the first to pour money into African fintech. They are not just investing in companies, they are actually investing in influence over Africa's financial future. Now, here's a question that should concern every African. Are we replacing Western financial dependence with Chinese digital dependence? The answer actually lies in what happens next. So for those of you in the African diaspora wondering how to participate in this revolution, listen carefully. This isn't just about investing money, though there are incredible opportunities. It's about investing in Africa's financial independence. So every time you see an African fintech service, every dollar you invest in African companies, every skill you bring back to the continent, you are adding another thread to the spider web from our earlier proverb, if you remember. The next wave is already building. We are seeing African fintechs expanding globally. Flutterwave is processing payments in the US and Europe. Nigerian companies are acquiring American startups. The real opportunity isn't in the unicorns everyone is talking about. It's in the thousands of smaller companies solving local problems across the 54 different markets. A fintech company serving coffee farmers in Ethiopia, a mobile money service for refugees, for instance, or a micro-lending platform for women entrepreneurs in Senegal. These companies need capital, expertise, and connections. They need you. Now, go-getters, I want us to understand that Africa's fintech isn't just creating unicorns. It's creating possibilities. It's proving that when you give people the right tools, they don't just survive, they thrive. The spider webs are uniting. The question is, will you be part of the web or will you just be watching from a distance? So if this video opened your eyes to fintech opportunities you didn't know exist, please do well to like it and share it to as many people as possible. And remember, every financial revolution starts with people who understand it clearly. So don't let this pass you by. That's it. Thanks for watching this video. I hope to see you on my next one.